Nginibingelele egameni elihle lomfeli wethu Jesu Kristu. Ukuthula makuhlala nabantu. Lapho engikhule khona ngakhula kuthiwa uma qala inkonzo sihlambuluke. Sithi ngisayiphilela inkosi noma izivunguvungu zidlangile nobhubhane we-COVID-19 ohlasele. Angaboni lutho olungangihlukanisa nothando lukaNkulunkulu. Amen. Bakwethu igama lami uVictor Sibeko. Ngokuzalwa ngizalwa eOrlando West eSoweto. I'm the son of the soil, a brother, a father, husband, an entrepreneur, an executive, but most importantly, a servant of the Most High. I am most humbled to be part of this important conversation with men, to explore the building blocks towards a fundamental foundation that seeks to build a much-needed success in life, and more especially the relationships that we want to focus on as men. I hope by the time we finish this conference, we would have converted ordinary men to gentlemen. There are few good men out there. And there's a quote that I like the most that says, I quote, "The world is full of guys, be a man," unquote. That is the desire for today's conference. I would like to commend Mage Nobaningi Mtanti, owaziwa ukuthi Indlovukazi, and your team for putting this much needed conversation on the spotlight. You put me on the spot. As an African son, when you asked me to jump, I did not ask how high. I was given 3 topics to choose from, and suddenly a topic, the foundation every man needs for success in life and relationship, was confirmed and put on the electronic poster. And that, I would say, it was imposed on me. I'm not complaining. Sometimes uNkulunkulu usebenza ngendlela zakhe eziyisimanga. But to the topic, as I've just alluded to, isihloko enginikezwe sona ukuthi ngikhulume ngaso namhlanje kule conference yobaba, sithi the foundation every man need for success in life and relationship. Ngiyangithanda ukuthi ngi-dissect a topic and give up the key words. Now the key words lana is the foundation, its foundation. Men need success, life, and relationship. Uma ngacuzula nje masisha ngwathatha the foundation siyazi isisekelo. Isiseko ngexhosa, motheo ka Sesotho, fundament in Afrikaans. Man refers to the male figure, but I would also like to use the word man as mankind, and these I may find using interchangeably. Now the topic says the foundation every man need. Now need is a requirement, is a must. It's something that we have to. It is something that is very essential and necessary. So kushuthi umuntu wesilisa uyayidinga i-foundation. There is a need. And success is self-explanatory, but it refers to achievement and an accomplishment. Life, sobala again, self-explanatory, but life is all about existence. Life is about being who we are, and life is an energy, and life is a soul. Now, when I talk about life, ngiyakuthanda since ukuthi ngi-unpack-e. Ngoba kwabanye abantu i-life kuyakuthiwa is a bed of roses. Izinto ziyazenzakalela. But kwabanye abantu i-life is a perpetual struggle towards perfection. Uma siphila sihamba empilweni, sihlangabezana nezihibe, But as we go through Les Hibe, we find ourselves soldiering on and succeeding and achieving the things we like. But the most important definition of life that I like is the one at life is a journey, not a destination. Ngoba empilweni sisohambweni oluthize. Uma uthatha uhamba kufanele uyilungisele. Ngoba wazohlangabezana nani phambili. Ngesinye isikhathi uhambo lwakho luba lude ngendlela esimanga ukuthi fanele uze ube prepared even beyond the normal preparation. Ama-backup nama-contacts na yonke lento. Now, the foundation every man needs for success in life and relationship. Now, relationship is core in this topic because it refers to an association. Who do you associate with? Relationship also refers to a connection. Who are those people that you connect with and you're connected with? Relationship also refers to affiliation. Who are you affiliated with? But most importantly, the rapport or the bond that you have with others. When we look at the word foundation, or sazwayo, that but a foundation is the lowest load-bearing part on a building or a structure, for that matter, typically below ground level. Now, when you want to build a proper strong house, you need to have a proper strong foundation. When you want to build a proper strong wall, you need to have a proper strong foundation. Now, philosophically, foundation can be also defined as an underlying basis or principle. Now, when we talk about the basis of principle, we mean a code. A code is a standard, is a belief, is an attitude. We often say an attitude determines your altitude, how far you can go in life. So if foundation is an underlying principle, then that means foundation is a code, is a standard, is a belief, is something that determines how far I can go in life. And basis and principle also refers to rule, the theory notion that we set ourselves in life, which is now, ladies and gentlemen, the foundation therefore is deep-rooted. Lokho kusho ingaphakathi kwethu, ingaphakathi kithi. Kuthi iyiphi le foundation lena esiyakhayo uma sifuna ukuthi siphumelele empilweni. And the foundation is something that we cannot see with the naked eye. It forms part of our conscience, unembeza. Kuthi wena wakhiwe kusiphi isekelo. How deep-rooted are you? How strong are you? Because if you have a strong foundation, noma izivunguvungu zifika, they may not shake you because you are solid. Now, a solid foundation is a relationship that is built on honesty, trust, respect, and communication. Uma uzithatha zonke lezi zinto uzihlanganisa, zakha a solid foundation. Lawa ke amazwi entokazi uVicky Louise. Yena uphawula izinto ezintathu uthi i-foundation relationship is honesty, respect and communication. Kodwa ngithanda ukuletha the fourth element mina trust. Ngoba uma ufuna i-foundation strong, noma ufuna into eyisekela okuyisona esiqotho, you must have 4 legs. A table stands on 4 legs. Mina ke a foundation in my household ekhaya la ngihlala khona nkosikazi nabantwana, i-foundation yami is also based on 4 legs. Ngoba itafula malimile linemilenze ewu4, ungasho ukuthi li strong. But these 4 legs in this context could be honesty, trust, respect, and communication. But you need another pillar, another leg to make your table firm. If it means you put it right in the middle of the table, ngaphansi, you need to do that. And that is faith, ukholo. You must also have very deep faith, ukholele kulezinto lezi okholelwa kuzo nozenzayo. Ikakhulukazi uNkulunkulu omvelinqangi. Now, kuna i-foundation ke, uma sikhuluma nge-key foundation, I-foundation ye-relationship le kuyiyona esiphokophelele ukuthi sibe nayo enhle in our lives with all the people that we live with, respect. Now, respect is the biggest foundation for all relationships. Ngoba, without respect, you don't have an essential key for every step in building a strong bond with another human being. Respect leads to honesty. Can you be trusted? Respect leads to communication. How easy it is to communicate with you. And once you're communicated with, how easy it is to relay the message. Respect also leads to compromise. You have to adapt to situations. Sometimes we loosely talk about compromise, but we do not know and understand the true meaning of a compromise. Fanele ushintshe, uadapte, uzehlise, ube sezingeni nakwistandard lapho lo muntu onaye in a relationship akwazi ukuthi naye akwazi ukuxhumana nawe ngendlela comfortable ngakhona. Now, respect also leads to friendship. Now, when we talk about friendship, we're not just talking about chomi. We're talking about a solid friendship that builds a sustainable relationship. Now, let us further briefly define men as in the topic. Men in relation to what we're talking about namhlanje. The foundation every man needs for success in life and relationship. We have to understand and reclaim the role of men as per God's mandate. Singobaba, relibontate, singotata. We need to understand. God crowned man by making him the very first person on earth. We were honored as men. And man was given a tall order by God to say, watch over everything that God has created. And man was meant to serve God. And not just serve God, but serve God kaputsepehi ngokuthembeka konke onakho. And man was given dominion over almost everything that God had created. And how great it is that a woman was made out of a man's rib. This further confirms that men must therefore be a protector. Singobaba, we must be protectors. And the very first line of protection that we have is to protect mama, because ubambo lwethu lolu. A man is his son's hero. We are role models to amadodana ethu. Fanele indodana imakubheka ikubone ifise ukuthi ngizame ngifuna ukufana nobaba ngelinye ilanga. And most importantly, a man is his daughter's first love. Singobaba sinabantwana bamantombazane, fanele sibaprotecte, sibathande, sibaseke. Kuthi noma umntwana ontombazane ehlangana nejaha noma any other boy or any other man out there, amtshela ukuthi uyamthanda ngakhona, angakuzwa. Kungena ngapha kwendlebe kuphume kwenye indlebe. Ngoba lo mntwana ontombazane uyazi uthando oluqotho, uthando lempela althola kumzali wakhe okuwubaba wakhe. So, I call on all men not to wait for an inspiration, but be an inspiration. As we have this conversation namhlanje, the pressure is on. All eyes and focus is on us as providers and as protectors, njengobaba. Now, I would like to pose a question on everyone. Have you ever stopped to think, why is it that only a few people have an amazing relationship? Uke wahlala nje wacabanga, wazibuza. Uma ubuka uthola abantu bene relationship enhle, ubaba ane relationship enhle nomama, ubaba ane relationship enhle neingane zakhe, ubaba ane relationship enhle nomakhelwane bakhe. Ask yourself, have you ever stopped to think, why is it that only a few people have an amazing relationship? The further question we can ask is that, did they just get lucky? Or are they the chosen one? Perhaps. So most, if not some of us, will agree. Ukuthi, great relationships require a lot of work. Some maintenance and partner beating is required to make your relationship work. The problem is more often than not, we have no idea what to work on because sometimes we are overwhelmed by many things that happen in our lives. And as men, sometimes we tend to have other influences that makes us not to be who we're supposed to be. Now, over the years, ladies and gentlemen, in my own personal relationships and those close to us through our program Braveheart, the ministry and family circles, I learned that everyone in the relationship exhibit fundamental habits which require in-depth discussion. Kunalama habits lana that we need to know, we need to master, and we will be able to maneuver through them uma siphila emhlabeni. Now the great news is that we can learn and develop. And when we do, we significantly increase our chances of having one of those relationships. Fana sifunda zonke isikhathi. Sifunda by watching other people. Sifunda by reading books. Sifunda by reading the Bible. Sifunda by praying. Through all these activities and engagements, we learn, and these lessons make us better people. If we don't continue learning and mastering the art of managing our relationships, the chances are probably you will never learn. So every failing relationship you have seen obviously lacked one or more of the ideal habits that we need to learn and adapt. Kubuhlungu to see the soaring divorce cases that lead to family breakdown. The statistics tell us that long-term couples relationships don't go the desired distance. Siyasithi masishada sithi till death do us part. Some relationships don't even take a few steps, a few years. They break. Now this tells us that some amongst us may be facing relationship challenges. Now this is the harsh reality of mental health, made worse by COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic and the related lockdowns that we're experiencing. Now, this emotional trauma is spilling over and affecting our emotional health. We need to be able to manage how we think, how we do things, how we react to things. So, mental health report released recently issued a warning, Bagwet, that the absence of quality relationship is killing us faster than many other common causes of death. When we talk about relationship, we talk about something that is precious, something that we have to treasure. Imagine during the COVID-19 and the lockdown, you are stuck under one roof. Singobaba sihleli nonkosikazi sihleli neingane ngesikhathi sihlezi nabashana sikokunye sihlezi nabazukulu. Konke lokho kwenzakalayo uma singakwazi ukuthi simanage these relationships. Sikwazi ukunderstand the dynamics. The relationship kuzosihlula. And uma kusihlula kuyasiphazamisa nasemqondweni. So all of us have an impact on the next generation. Uma sihluleka ukukhulisa abantwana bethu, uma sihluleka ukumanage ama relationships wethu, then abantwana bethu bakhula babona into okungezona zibaphazamise empilweni. Now, the Marriage Foundation research shows that the single most predictor of teenage mental health is, guess what? Family breakdown. So, singobaba njengenhloko zamakhaya, we need to be able to run and manage our families. Avoid any situation that may lead to the family breakdown. Now, so research further show that where couples separate, Children are almost 10 to 15% more likely to have mental health problems. That children where the couples stay together is a different story. There are a big number of concern cases that we have to look at. Now, all of this goes to explain kungani the percentage of mental health today is between 16 to 24-year-old is so high. And this is a concern. Now, when we talk about relationships and success in life, relationship breakdown is a huge problem. And for us to solve this problem, we need to look at it in many ways. I like how the medical science talk about the relationship problem and breakdown. They say, I quote, "What we need are better fences at the top of the hill rather than ambulances at the bottom," unquote. By having better fences at the top of the hill, that means we need to build very strong relationship. Kubazali, mom and dad, brothers and sisters, so that abantwana abakhulayo bangaboni izinto ezizobaxaka or bangayitholi basenkingeni. Now, in relationships, the habits are fences. Almost all relationships go through a similar set of hurdles, and these are triggered by life events. It could be setting up a house together. It could be having that first baby that you're planning as when you start a family. It could be in the work context, emsebenzini. You're being promoted to a higher position. And that promotion comes with a responsibility that demands for you to work more hours. Sometimes make you work away from home. Now, if these things start happening and you're unable to handle them or to talk about them with those that you're in a relationship with, and relationship in this context not only referring to a relationship with your wife or with your spouse or fiance or your girlfriend, but relationship with everyone, then you'll find it difficult to build a strong relationship and be successful in life. So among the hurdles that I'm talking about, we have hurdles that come up as a result of unmet expectations. Because in life we have expectations. Especially Tina Obaba, there's a lot that is expected of us. Over and above being protectors, I'm a security guard. Over and above being providers, we also need to exert some love, some warmth, and provide even in much more other ways, more than financial provision. Now, these hurdles are poor conflict resolutions. There's a situation or an issue at hand. If you're unable to resolve this matter amicably, that is a problem. There are issues around trust and respect that we need to look into. If those elements do not exist in your family or in your relationship, it's difficult for you to sustain that relationship. And the worst of it all, poor communication. If you're unable to communicate effectively and understand each other, then you have a problem in making this relationship work. And we have a problem in sustaining them. So outside an abusive relationship, success comes from being equipped to get over these hurdles. Izihibe lezi fanele kube nendlela ukwazi ukuthi uzodila nazo kanjani smoothly, because they are stumbling blocks. And if you stumble, one after the other stumble, that leads to frustration. And when people feel frustrated and stuck and no way forward, they end up going their separate ways. Now, that is a sad way of seeing a relationship break down like that. In my experience, ladies and gentlemen, over the past 31 years of my marriage, confirms that mastering the habits get you over the hurdle. It's not about being perfect. We are not perfect. but it's about being intentional in developing these habits. Now, I will just touch on these habits because there's something much more that I want to delve into. Now, the 4 habits that one day I wish we could also have another conversation and unpack them further is that as abontat, abobaba, in our relationship, does not matter which relationship is it, we need to be curious, but not critical. You must know what's happening in your household, in and around the people you have a relationship with. But ungabi lo muntu critical manje ukuthi ngathi ngabe usucwangisisa yonke into, usafuna yonke into ihambe ngalendlela yena ufuna ngayo. You're not making room for any mishaps or mistakes or so. The second habit is be careful, not crushing. Be careful how you do things. Be careful how you respond to things. Don't just come down like a ton of rocks when your partner or those you're in a relationship with have made a mistake. Ask, don't assume. When something has happened, don't assume it happened because it was intentional. It happened because you meant to. It happens because you don't care. But ask, what happened? How did it happen? How can we resolve the matter? Or how can we avoid it from happening in future? And lastly, connect before you correct. Go baba ngesikhathi siyashesha. Ukuthi nje ngaphambi basazi ukuthi kwenzakalani, we have not built that connection with those we're in relationship with, and suddenly now we are correcting. Siyarula sishaya umthetho. When we don't master these habits, kuba inkinga. Now I'd like to go back to this topic and start unpacking the basis of a relationship. Because the basis of a healthy relationship is when each partner maintains an open intention to learn about loving themselves first and then loving each other, rather than being intentional on protecting, avoiding, and controlling. Because siyashesha futhi thina baba. Ngoba ngubaba ngizokuprotecta. That's what I do. You're protected to such an extent that you cannot even go and have your own life, or go to the shops, or go out and uyodlala namanye amantombazane. Avoid getting into serious conversation, or avoid getting to do the things that we're supposed to do njengobaba emakhaya. And worst of it all, si control, si rule, si shaya umthetho kube izwi lethu elizwakalayo kuna any other thing. So one of the major challenges in building successful relationship is a phenomenon of control freaks. Osidlani, uzwilakhe, or abo my way or the highway. In life, there is no room for such behavior. It is very unhealthy. We need to learn. Ukuthi uma sikhuluma nge-foundation, sikhuluma ngesisekelo sothando oluqotho. Uma omunye nomunye athatha isinqumo sokuzithanda kuqala, nokuthi agijime ukuyozivikela omunye, okanye angamnaki noma wafuna ukushaya umthetho, enze ngalendlela yena afuna ngayo, cha bazalwane. In a relationship, akukhona ejele. There has to be some free movement, freedom. It is the intention to learn about love that leads to being able to take personal responsibility for own feelings. That is the intention. That's what we need to look at. So the question, therefore, is that, is your relationship, or are your relationships healthy? Ingabe bunjani ubudlelwano bakho nabantu? Ekhaya, emndenini wonke, emphakathini, enkonzweni, ngisho nasemsebenzini imbala. Kubalekile ukuthi sikwenza konke sakha ubudlelwano, singakhohlwa ukuthi kukhona umdali, kukhona okuyena osengamele. Incwadi kaTimothy 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 18, ithi, nevertheless, God's solid foundation stands firm, sealed with inscription. The Lord knows who are his. Yasazi uNkulunkulu ukuthi singobani. So uma uNkulunkulu esazi ukuthi singobani, fanele sibheke ukuthi uma sikhuluma ukuthi sifuna ukwakha ama-relationships that are sustainable, sifuna ukuba happy in life, sifuna ukuba successful in life, what are the elements required for a situation, a relationship or a plan? We have to look at the ingredients of a healthy relationship. And by doing our own inner work to become an emotional, responsible, kind and loving persons with ourselves and our partners, we can create a healthy, loving relationship. Now, in order for us to achieve this, there are certain things that we need, ladies and gentlemen. And as we look at these things, we also need to be very cautious how we go about working on these things. Ngizorana nje kuzo masisha ngaphandle kokuthatha isikhathi ukuthi number 1, emotional responsibility. An emotional responsible person does not take others' behavior personally. Knowing that we have no control over others' feeling and behavior, and that we do not cause others to feel and behave the way they do, that others are responsible for their own feelings and behavior, just as we are for ourselves. So we need to strike balance. We need to take emotional responsibility, or we need to be emotionally responsible. Secondly, kindness, acceptance, compassion, and empathy. We need these elements. Being kind as a type of behavior that is marked by acts of generosity, consideration. We need to be compassionate. And compassion is a sympathetic pity or concern for suffering or misfortune of others. We need to be empathetic. Now, being empathetic, that is the ability to understand and share the feeling of others. Thirdly, we need warmth, affection, connection, laughter, and fun. By warmth, we mean the quality state, affection and kindness. Ekhaya uzuma ungena ekhaya, ungena ekhaya elithokomele. We need affection. Affection is a gentle feeling of fondness or liking that when you're in a place or in the company of those that are special to you, you feel connected. And this brings us to connection, a relationship in which a person is linked or associated with something else. There has to be that element of laughter and fun. Now, fun provides us with an amusement, an enjoyment, specifically when we're sitting together. The fourth thing that we need to enjoy time together and time apart. And this is extremely important. Do not be too much on each other. So you are not a bodyguard as Obaba. We are partners. We are in a relationship. There's this say that I like that says, if you love a bird, set it free. If it flies away, it will come back. It's yours. But it flies away and does not come back. It was never yours. So never ever be the type of ubaba or a man that you like people that you're in a relationship with to be stuck in one place, to be confined to a space. No. You need to allow yourselves to enjoy time together and time apart. Nawe uma ubaba ukwazi ucommunicate kahle and say, mama ake ngiphume ke ngifuna ukuyoshaya umoya namhlanje ngifuna ukuyodlala igolf. Ngimshiya mama ngihambe ngiyodlala igolf. I have communicated where I'm going. Naye makethi uthanda ukuya mall ayoshaya i-shopping window, ahamba afika eshaya i-shopping window lapho window shopping khona lokho akumvumeli, akakwenze lokho. Uma efisa ukuthi uthanda ukuyodlala namanye amantombazane nezinye ingane, akube njalo ngoba nawe uzothanda ukuyodlala nezinye insizwe. Into as 5 is that we need to learn through conflict. Let every disagreement and agreement process be a learning curve on how to deal with more conflicts. Ngoba we do have conflict situations emndenini yethu. And also, as Baba, we need to be able to learn to rise to the occasion and handle the conflict situation properly and come up with an amicable solution. Into esithathu, trust. Trust that you support each other's highest good. Uma omunye enze kahle, celebrate what the person has done. Joy for reaching out, joy for other person. Celebrate each other's success, no matter how small they are. Then there has to be that spark, number 7, that spark that you need, that physical, emotional, and intellectual spark that you need. You create that tiny bright light. You appreciate each other. Even if owawakho ewusitufuza, appreciate it. Emotion, be able to deal with those around characteristics, feelings. The intellectual work that you have in balancing the intellect and be supportive. Now, with all these, ladies and gentlemen, uma sifuna ukuphumelela in life, we need to be very mindful on the things that we need to look at. Now, to bring this back to the church, to the body of Christ being isonto, the book of 1 Corinthians 3, verse 10, the King James Version 80, according to the grace of God which was given to me, as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another builds on it. But let each take heed how he builds on it. NgesiZulu ithi ngokomusa kaNkulunkulu engiwuphiweyo njengenyanga yokwakha ehlakaniphileyo ngabeka isisekelo omunye wakha phezu kwaso, kepha akube yiloyo naloyo aqaphele ukuthi wakha kanjani phezu kwaso. Iverse 11 ngithanda ngoba iletha something very important. It says ngokuba akakho ongabeka esinye isisekelo kuphela leso esibekiweyo esinguJesu Kristu. Now, as Baba, if we thrive to be successful in our lives, we need to make Christ being isisekelo sethu. We need to make ukholo live in us. We need to draw a line ukuthi, is it all about going to esontweni? You know, when we go to esonto, umuntu mayesonta into mayesonta yenqamuka. Let us go and worship, asiye enkonzweni, and go and worship. We are talking to men about men namhlanje. Some men are quick to quote the Bible, and more often than not, when the situation favors them. In the context of the Bible lisobala, and it's open about men. Because when we talk about relationships that we want to see work successfully and live a happy life, we can take heed on the book of Ephesians 5, verse 21 to 31. But ngizocaphuna nje verse elilodwa noma amabili. Isihloko sithi, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. The Bible says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Now, the man or husband is the head of the household according to architect of marriage. Being head of the house has nothing to do with whether you are working as ubaba or whether unomsebenzi ongakanani. But it's about you living up to the expectations that God created us as men. Now, this is a cause for concern and a recipe for conflict, because kweminye imizi this can be used against ubaba. If ubaba ngasebenzi, now he is not, he's a non-entity, he is nothing. So we need to be able to read and understand the Bible very well and apply it in our relationships and have the things that I quoted that talk to us about empathy, understanding, communication, and so on. So the Bible further says, for husbands, this means love your wives just as Christ loved the church, So as Obaba, for us to be successful, we need to love our wives. Now, my worry and concern is Kati, because if we had time, we would really go on and on and on and unpack this. But please allow me just to give you the 4 foundations of successful relationships. I will just touch on them. I won't really go deep into them. Number 1, the misconception about relationships. Too many people believe that good relationships happen naturally. You find that right person, the proverbial soulmate, and everything will be plain sailing and happy ever after. If that does not happen, then they assume that this was not the right person for them at all. We need to be very careful how we look at this. I'd like to pick up on the second one. The second one is vision and values. In this aspect, you are asking yourself the deep question, why am I in this relationship? What is the meaning of it? What is important for me in this relationship? Once you discover the bigger context, you can build a framework that can hold you together as a couple and will also encourage you to grow and develop together. The next one is awareness. There are 2 types of awareness to address in relationships. The first is relationship patterns awareness. Most of us do not talk to one another about the difficulties in our relationships. So for a couple, experiencing them, it can seem like everyone else has a wonderful relationship. Really has it together, and it is only dealing with these struggles. And yet many are universal problems, and they do affect couples in one way or the other. Then there is a personal awareness. The more you know about yourself, the more you understand what you are really looking for in life, and especially in your relationship. The better you will be able to communicate that. The next point that I want to briefly touch on is what happens when the honeymoon fades away, when those happy moments go, when those memories when you met go away. Every relationship goes through phases. There is the one we all remember so fondly, the sheltering each other, the courtship, the dates, and the much more things that we do as we go towards knowing each other and establishing a firm relationship. When you are getting to know one another, both partners are being very nice and very careful with each other. They also usually on what we call their best behavior. And there are also some very difficult things to work on at some stage. So over the time, the magic does wear off. Usually as you become more committed to one another, dating exclusively or engaging, for example, those things that going, and you no longer get these things that you can enjoy all the time. Then there's 2 destructive patterns you should watch for in life. And one is being a firefighter, and the other one is a roommate pattern. When things do not go well, there are 2 common destructive patterns that couples fall into that cause them to break up. The first one is that couples who are high conflict, they are firefighters. Arguments start small, but over time they never get resolved. They escalate. In the end, just a single phrase can trigger a huge fight because each partner is thinking, I know what's coming up next, and it never goes well. But the second pattern rather, is roommates pattern. Now this is the couple who to the outside world look like they are doing just fine. They may even be considered one of those perfect couples. Inside, however, they feel distant. They're not happy at all or not happy enough. They end up growing apart. They almost lead separate lives, rarely ever doing anything together. This often stems from the opposite problem to the previous couple, the firefighters and the roommates. In this case, ladies and gentlemen, there is not enough conflict. They don't talk, they don't address issues because they want to keep the peace. For there to be progress in life and happiness, there are certain awareness tools that we need. And many times we feel that we want something different or better in our relationships. But if we don't define what we want more specifically, how will we get there? To begin doing that, we need to ask ourselves certain questions. And these questions are, what do we want to cultivate? What is it that we want to plant? What is it that we want to develop? What is it that we want to promote in our relationships? What do we want more of? What do we want less of? If we had our dreams or our dream relationship, what will it look like? How will you feel? What will you do together? How will your communication, intimacy be like? Including inkonzo yasekamareni kulaba abadala abashadile. So the next thing that we need to look at is that we then need to take the answers to the questions above and ask ourselves what you have to do. Wena kasibili uqobo lwakho, not your partner, to make things happen. We shouldn't be asking ourselves questions and then we expect our partners to answer these questions, because many times it's easy for us to see what our partner needs to change. But this only causes them to feel defensive, and even worse than that, you don't have the power to do anything because it's only to them to change things. So by focusing on ourselves, we can start changing things immediately and become an inspiration for our partners. Be that as it may, the connection element is very important because connection and conflict go together. Creating what we might call the love account is like a bank account. You know, when you have money in the bank, when you put money into the account, the balance looks good and the interest is good. But if you withdraw money, then the balance is not good and there's no interest either. Just like relationships, we need to learn to invest in them. We need to learn to trust ourselves in how we go about working on our relationships, because we need to stay connected. And when we stay connected, then we are appreciating. So one of the biggest tools we can use in this aspect is to learn to show appreciation, to make those positives stand out from the easier things that we normally say and do. So we have to make a daily habit of saying just one thing that we appreciate about our partners. Okay? We often tell others something nice about our partners. She's such a great mom. He's such a great dad. They work so hard and forget to tell the person, no matter the most. So there is a certain way to show appreciation that really makes a difference and makes our lives easier and makes us happy. Simple things that we can start practicing, like, I appreciate. So here we can share something that our partner has done, even if it's small. Like, I appreciate that you made dinner last night. Or you can share something about them. Like, I appreciate your sense of humor. Or I appreciate how you make friends easily. Then these small things that we do, they're important. Because once we start adding because, we appreciate you because, here we explain why is it meaningful for us to have them in our lives as our partners. When we don't do this, our partners feel the impact on how much we don't care about them. But if we take a moment to say, I appreciate that you made dinner for me because I was so tired, It made me feel that you care about me and you're paying attention. Now, these are the things that build a relationship. So, ladies and gentlemen, pity, time is our greatest enemy. I would have really liked to go on and on and on and share the things that are very important, the things that really indeed are a foundation that every man needs for success in life and relationship. But those pointers that I've raised and that I've mentioned are important for us to look at and appreciate each other. Because if we appreciate each other, we build good relationship and we really look at each other in a positive note, we are able to make a very grateful, meaningful impact in our lives. And we are able to really create good families and avoid seeing abantwana bethu be all over in the streets. Okay. Just to wrap up, I want to go back to that book of 2 Timothy 2 verse 18 that says, nevertheless, God's solid foundation stands firm, sealed with this inscription. The Lord knows those who are his. Singabantwana bakaNkulunkulu. And being abantwana bakaNkulunkulu, fanele sihlale ethembeni lokuthi simthembe simazi ngazo zonke isikhathi, because he is good and he does not disappoint. Ngiyabonga. Akbo Musa.